So I put my question to you, the audience. Do you want me to watch Uncle Joe's Stalin speech and give my take on it? And by an overwhelming majority, you guys want me to torture myself. So that being said, let's just get right into it and let's watch Joe Biden's Stalin speech.
Brotherhood! We are whole again! The sickness has been cut out!
Okay, they're bringing out a MAGA Republican.
In the name of Cain! In the name of Cain! In the name of Cain! Cain lives!
Brandon lives! Okay, that was good. That was going to be more fun and exciting than anything in this speech. I thought I'd do it though, because there is a certain similarity here. If you look at the coloring and the setup, you have this weird red lights. You have these Brotherhood of Non-Marines there, and Biden's gonna give his Stalin speech. People have criticized this for saying that this looks communistic or fascistic or some sort of totalitarian regime. Personally, I think it's the most keynote thing Biden's done since becoming president, maybe in the last 20 years. I can't say ever because he did do the whole super predator thing. So let's watch this. This is going to be cringe. Look at that. That looks... I don't know why, that just amuses me.
My fellow Americans.
My fellow Americans.
Please, if you have a seat. Thank you. I speak to you tonight from sacred ground in America. Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is where America made its declaration of independence to the world more than 2 centuries ago with an idea unique among nations. That in America, we're all created equal. This is where the United States Constitution...
I mean, that's kind of a lie. That's really not what they meant in the initial declaration, but whatever.
The Constitution was written and debated. This is where we set in motion the most extraordinary experiment of self-government.
Use your words, Joe. Use your words.
The world has ever known. With 3 simple words: we the people. We the people. These 2 documents and the ideas they embody, equality and democracy, are the rock upon...
I would actually argue, I kind of think that if we're going to talk about experiments in government, the Roman Republic was probably a more interesting one, just because of how bizarre it was in terms of all the layers of different things. I don't think it was nearly as rationally constructed as the American Republic.
Which this nation is built. They're how we became the greatest nation on earth. They're why.
See, I never get this. So, America's the greatest nation on earth, but then he's going to go on to, just shit on America for the remainder of this and say, the people are crap. It's a bit like with Canada, where the left here is jingoistic about how great Canada is, but they also hate it and think that everybody sucks.
For more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world. But as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy
I'm going to turn up the speed
are under
a bit.
assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise.
Okay, it's a little
So tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation.
Dude, you're Joe Biden. You have severe dementia. You can't speak plainly about anything.
The threats we face, about the power we have in our own hands to meet these threats, about the incredible future that lies in front of us, if only we...
So I think an important thing to keep in mind about this entire speech is the term democracy. There's not even a pretense that democracy means majority rule or what people vote for or what the legal process is. Democracy just means whatever leftists want to have happen. So you can have a case where like 1% of the population votes for something. Like you could have a referendum where 1% of the population votes for something, 99% votes against it, and then the Supreme Court implements it, and that will be democracy. If the 99% of people vote against something that the left wants, and it doesn't go through, then that is not democracy. And I wish they'd just be honest about it, 'cause I just hate fake stuff. I don't personally care about democracy. I just want to have happen what I want to have happen, regardless of whether there's public support for it or not. And people can say what they want, but at least I'm honest.
Choose it. Must never forget, we the people are the true heirs of the American experiment that began more than 2 centuries ago. We the people have burning inside of each of us the flame of liberty.
Yeah, but they always complain about this, like that the Constitution didn't allow women to vote. So, like, you're heirs to that? I don't know. But then they also say that, like, it doesn't make any sense.
That was lit here at Independence Hall.
Independence Hall.
Flame that lit our way through abolition, the Civil War, suffrage, Great Depression.
That's it.
World wars, civil rights. That sacred flame still burns.
I find it interesting that they don't mention the space race. To me, that's like a bigger accomplishment than like most of what he just mentioned, but that's just me.
Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free, and just, that is the work of my presidency. Mission I believe in with my whole soul.
You don't have a soul.
But first, we must be honest with each other, with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans.
Once again, it's this idea that, like, because we're a democracy, you're not allowed to vote for politicians who share your beliefs. The MAGA Republicans are just illegitimate. It doesn't matter that Trump won the previous presidential election. It doesn't matter if he's going to win the next presidential election. That has nothing to do with democracy.
Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question.
Yeah, but they suck.
That the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans.
And how did that happen? How is it that Trump took over the Republican Party with every institution against him? Maybe it's because he represented, like, things that the average Republican voter cared about.
That is a threat to this country.
Mm-hmm.
These are hard things. But I'm an American president. Not a president of red America or blue America, but of all America.
So the Republican Party, MAGA Republicans are shit. They have no place in our country, but I'm still there. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
And I believe it's my duty to level with you, to tell the truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how
You're
painful.
not going to tell the truth about shit, Joe.
And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. They're working right.
I mean, you did too. Remember when everyone was like, we're gonna with the whole when Trump won election, Hillary tried to overturn the election. You tried to overturn the election of Bush when you were in the Senate. Like, also there's this idea now that there was never electoral fraud in the history of America. Like, I'm almost done that book on the mafia. Like, Tammany Hall controlled New York, and New York like was the swing state in a lot of presidential elections. You had Jim Crow in the South, where you always like to bring up that black people couldn't vote. You had Reconstruction, where the federal government put states under military occupation and prevented them from voting. You guys claim that democracy was illegitimate when women couldn't vote. So for the vast majority of American history before like the 1970s, like that was the norm.
Now, as I speak in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, powering election deniers, to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards. Backwards.
I mean, the American electoral system is fucked. I think we all like acknowledge that. But like, what have you tried to do to fix this? I mean, it is fucked. It is run by partisan hacks, but that's the way, I don't know, it just is for some reason.
To an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence.
Okay, so let's just go through all that. I'm pretty sure, let me see, did Joe Biden vote for the Patriot Act? Did Joe Biden vote for the Patriot Act? Think he did vote for the Patriot Act. I could be wrong though. Let me see if there's like a listing of the people who voted for it. Give me a sec. Okay, so this is according to the most legitimate source that I could find, BuzzFeed, which is kind of legitimate in the fact that it's like a left-wing publication, so if they're saying this. Joe Biden, let's see here, where does it say? I drafted, set me up. Bill, it wasn't the first time that Biden took credit for the Patriot Act. On Meet the Press that same year, he made similar comments referring to the Omnibus Counterterrorism Act of 1995. Civil libertarians were opposed to it, Biden said right after 1994. You can ask the Attorney General this, because I got a call when he introduced the Patriot Act. He said, Joe, I'm introducing the act you basically wrote in 1994. It was defeated then, not by any liberals. It was defeated by the folks who were worried we'd have Minutemen who'd get in trouble, by people who were right-winged. So Biden claims that he invented the Patriot Act back in 1994, and he voted for it to be passed, but he's concerned with your right to privacy, guys. So a right to privacy doesn't include freedom from the government spying on you without probable cause, just recording all your conversations without a court order. It's the ability to kill your child is what privacy means. That is what it means. So I think there's another thing we have to explain here. So how authoritarianism works is individual states had decided that whether or not gay marriage should be legal within them. Some states had, through referendums or the elected legislator, voted to ban it as part of a constitutional amendment, and other states had voted to legalize it. So what's authoritarian is those states, through voting, making those policies. What's not authoritarian, though, is the Supreme Court unilaterally voting to strike it down. So we have to be very clear on this. The Supreme Court voting to strike down legislation at a lower level without any kind of national vote is authoritarian. However, when the Supreme Court voted to strike down Roe v. Wade, that was authoritarian. I think it's very important to understand this. Oops.
That are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th, brutally attacking law enforcement, not as insurrectionists, placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy, but they look at them as patriots.
I've never heard an argument for how they were actually going to take control of the government. Like, to take control of the government, they would have had to, like, seize the reins of power. You would need, like, a coordinated coup with overwhelming support from the military, from, like, the bureaucracy, from local governors. Like, I don't understand how, and it's never been explained to me, a bunch of, like, people, like, occupying one building in Washington would give them complete authoritarian control over the country. That's never been explained to me, nor will it ever be explained.
They see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They've tried everything.
Wait, didn't everybody shit on Trump for saying before the election that it was not going to be legitimate and there was going to be shenanigans? Isn't Joe here saying that the next election is not going to be legitimate because the Republicans are going to rig it? I mean, am I, like, stupid?
Last time, to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Ludwig has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy. But while the threat to American democracy is real, I want to say as clearly as we can, we are not powerless in the face of these threats. We are not bystanders in this ongoing attack on democracy. There are far more Americans from every background and belief
Is
who
there?
reject the extreme MAGA ideology than those that accept it. And folks, it's within our power, it's in our hands, yours and mine, to stop the assault on American democracy. I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after. And now, America must choose to move forward or to move backwards, to build a future or obsess about the past.
Okay, so Biden claims that the vast majority of Americans don't agree with MAGA policy. So let's see what the most recent national polling of abortion is. So the liberal position is that abortion should be legal under all circumstances up to and including birth. And the pro-life position ranges from illegal in certain conditions to illegal in all conditions. So the vast majority of Americans don't agree with Biden's policy. Half of them think it should be restricted to certain situations. Like, Biden's position is represented by between a quarter and a third of people. So it's not like the overwhelming majority.
To be a nation of hope and unity and optimism, or a nation of fear, division, and of darkness. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. Together we can choose a different path. We can choose a better path. forward to the future of possibility.
So let's get this straight. Black Americans don't live in resentment. They don't live in an environment that thrives on chaos. They aren't angry with the current situation and want change. They're happy with it, according to Uncle Joe.
A future to build and dream and hope. We're on that path moving ahead.
Are we?
I know this nation. I know you, the American people. I know your courage. I know your hearts. And I know our history. This is a nation that honors our Constitution. We do not reject it. This is a nation that believes in the rule of law. We do not repudiate it. This is a nation
just the most low energy clapping ever.
That respects free and fair elections. We honor the will of the people.
Whoa.
We do not deny it.
Whoa. Okay, so let's just get back to this, and this is why this whole democracy thing is complete bullshit. So, overturning Roe v. Wade is not the will of the people and is not democracy. The fact that Trump, who was elected president, proposed Supreme Court justices that were approved by an elected Senate is not it's not democratic. So what the Supreme Court even did, and I like we have to talk about this again, was said, okay, individual states, state legislators that are made up of elective representatives can choose whether they want to have laws on abortion or not. It's an individual state choice in which the people of the state will get to vote on these issues. So the Supreme Court that is made up of judges appointed by Trump and confirmed by an elected Senate, passing legislation or making a ruling that allows individual states with their elected bodies to pass bills on the matter is non-democratic.
And this is a nation that rejects violence as a political tool. We do not encourage violence. We are still an America that believes in honesty.
No, but I mean, you do. Like, Obama invaded multiple countries. You're giving weapons to the Ukraine to use violence as a political tool. It's bullshit. Like, maybe Switzerland can say we reject violence as a political tool. You're like, I don't know, you gave ISIS weapons. Obama escalated the war in Afghanistan. Like, America doesn't reject violence as a political tool. It's bullshit.
And decency, and respect for others. Patriotism, liberty, justice for all, hope, possibilities. We are still, at our core, a democracy. Words, just throwing words out there. History tells us that blind loyalty to a single leader and a willingness to engage in political violence is fatal to democracy. For a long time, we told ourselves that American democracy is guaranteed, but it's not. We have to defend it, protect it, stand up for it, each and every one of us. That's why tonight,
I would argue, if we're talking about democracy in the context of political participation by the average person, then I would say that, like, totalitarian regimes are the most democratic because the state demands the active participation of the population in political campaigns. Like, you could argue by that metric, Maoist China was the most democratic society that ever existed because everybody within the society took part in political campaigns and in the business of the state.
I'm asking our nation to come together, unite behind the single purpose of defending our democracy regardless of your ideology. We're all called by duty and conscience to confront extremists who put their own pursuit of power above all else. Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving American democracy than MAGA Republicans are destroying American democracy. We, the people, will not let anyone or anything tear us apart. Today, there are dangers around us we cannot allow to prevail. We here, you've heard it, more and more talk about violence.
I mean, once again, if we're going to say that MAGA Republicans are evil, Trump got 63 million votes in the 2016 election. So Biden is saying that we have to alienate, what is it, like 46% of the voting public in favor of 48% of the voting public. And that's how we unify the country.
As an acceptable political tool in this country. It's not.
Remember when like the Democrats sent in or I guess Nixon did too. Remember when liberals sent in like federal soldiers to force integration in the South? That wasn't using violence.
Can never be an acceptable tool.
Can never be.
So I want to say this plain and simple. There is no place for political violence in America, period.
It is. America was not a country that was founded on political violence. You see, the founding of America went like this. A bunch of pilgrims came over here and genocided the Native Americans. They killed like 50 to 100 million of them through biological and chemical warfare and mass genocide. But it was not violent genocide. It was non-violent genocide. Then there was the 13 colonies, and the 13 colonies just said to Britain, can't we all just get along? We want to be independent. And Great Britain was like, okay, sure, you guys can just go. So there was no Revolutionary War that led to the foundation of America. There was no Civil War. There was no War of 1812. None of these foundational events in American history had anything to do with violence.
None. Ever.
Ever. He said ever. So is he rejecting the Revolutionary War? And people were like, Argent, he didn't mean that. He's just retarded. He's just making these blanket statements with no qualifiers, and you're just supposed to ignore that he previously invoked the founding of America, but now he's shitting on the founding of America, and you can't connect these two things.
We saw law enforcement brutally attacked on January 6th. We've seen election officials, poll workers, many of them volunteers of both parties, subject to intimidation and death threats.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe it? FBI agents just doing their job as directed, facing threats to their own lives from their own fellow citizens.
I thought you guys hated law enforcement. Like, what was with abolish the police?
Top of that, there are public figures today, yesterday, and the day before predicting and all but calling for mass violence and rioting in the streets. This is inflammatory.
Like you? Like, this is
dangerous, against the rule of law. We, the people, must say, this is not who we are.
Once again, like, I don't necessarily have an ideological, like, if they want to use, like, Black Lives Matter and stuff as, like, their militia, to intimidate people and to, like, kill their political opponents, I don't really have an issue with that, because that's, like, how stuff works. I just don't like that this is fake and gay. That's my primary opposition to this whole thing, is I just hate falsehoods. I just don't like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. They're incompatible. You can't allow violence to be normalized in this country.
You can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-America. That's, once again, that's how America was founded. There was no insurrection that founded America.
It's wrong.
It's wrong.
We each have to reject political violence with all the moral clarity and conviction this nation can muster. Now, can't let the integrity of our elections be undermined. For that, path to chaos.
But you
Look,
did
I know
that.
politics can be fierce. and mean and nasty in America. I get it.
So did, like, Kennedy and Johnson undermine the integrity of elections when they said black people couldn't vote in this? I guess they did.
I believe in the give and take of politics, in disagreement and debate and dissent.
No, you don't.
We're a big, complicated country.
This entire speech is saying that you don't.
Democracy endures only if we, the people, respect the guardrails of the republic. Only if we, the people, accept the results of free and fair elections.
Well,
only if we, the people, see politics not as total war, but mediation of our differences.
Though.
Democracy.
I mean, I hate this fucking shit. Oh, it's not total war. We should all be free. Well, but like, once again, let's just think about this for a minute. If you're pro-life and you think that tens of millions of babies have been slaughtered, you're supposed to just go, oh, well, the people who support killing like tens of millions of babies, it's just a personal disagreement. It's not something to get upset about. It's just bullshit.
Side believes there are only two outcomes to an election.
There is.
Either they win or they were cheated.
Yeah.
That's where the MAGA Republicans are today. They don't understand what every patriotic American knows. You can't love your country only when you win.
But you do. Everybody does. That's just the way, like, democracy has always
fundamental.
Worked.
American democracy only works only if we choose to respect the rule of law and the institutions that were set up in this chamber behind me.
Yeah, but you reject the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. So
only if we respect our legitimate political differences.
Our legitimate political differences.
I will not stand by and watch. I will not, the will of the American people, be overturned by wild conspiracy theories and baseless evidence-free claims of fraud. I will not stand by and watch elections in this country stolen by people who simply refuse to accept that they lost.
So once again, it's a conspiracy theory that Trump won an election. It's a conspiracy theory that he appointed Supreme Court justices.
I will not stand by and watch the most fundamental freedom in this country, the freedom to vote and have your vote counted, be taken from you and the American people. Look, as your president, I will defend our democracy with every fiber of my being, and I'm asking every American to join me. Throughout our history, America has often made the greatest progress coming out of some of our darkest moments, like you're hearing to that bullhorn. I believe we can and must do that again, and we are. MAGA Republicans look at America and see carnage and darkness and despair. They spread fear and lies.
But that's the entire premise of your movement, is that America's a racist state that needs to be destroyed. Lies told for profit and power. But I see a different America. No, you don't.
An America with an unlimited future. An America that's about to take off. I hope you see it as well. Just look around. I believe we could lift America from the depths of COVID. So we passed the largest economic recovery package since Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Sucked.
And today, America's economy is faster, stronger
than
any other advanced nation in the world.
It's
we have
shit.
more to go.
There's hyperinflation. Another part of this, and I've said this many times, as Serp would put it, the post-liberals have a deep and abiding contempt for the average person. So the fact that the average person is struggling under hyperinflation doesn't matter to Joe. He's just saying that didn't happen.
I believe we could build a better America. So we passed the biggest infrastructure investment since President Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Yeah, and it sucked.
And we've now embarked on a decade of rebuilding the nation's roads, bridges, highways, ports, water systems, high-speed internet, railroads.
If the money was actually going to do any of those things, then I'd support it. I'm not like a a libertarian. I like government investments in infrastructure, but we all know it's not going to go to that. It's going to have carve out and exemptions. It's going to go to big corporations. It's going to go to unions. It's going to go to all kinds of nonsense. I doubt most of it will go to infrastructure.
I believe we could make America safer. We passed the most significant gun safety law since President Clinton. I believe we could go from being the highest cost of prescriptions in the world to making prescription drugs and healthcare more affordable. So we passed the most significant healthcare reform since President Obama.
Didn't he revoke Trump's executive order that lowered the price of insulin?
Signed the Affordable Care Act. And I believe we could create a clean energy future and save the planet. So we passed the most important climate initiative ever.
No, but it's not. Like, once again, if they were actually going to be doing that, then I might support it, but they're not. It's just going to go to, like, a bunch of special interest groups.
The cynics and the critics.
It's like education funding. If it was actually going to, like, inventing useful things or teaching people, like, real stuff or something that's economically or culturally productive, then I'd be for it, but it's not. It goes to just padding university administration and corruption.
Tell us nothing can get done, but they're wrong. There is not a single thing America cannot do, not a single thing beyond our capacity if we do it together. Never easy, but we're proving that America, no matter how long the road, progress does come.
Your progress or mine?
Look, I know the last few years have been tough, but today, COVID no longer controls our lives. More Americans are working than ever. Businesses are growing. Our schools are open. Millions of Americans have been lifted out of poverty. Millions of veterans once exposed to toxic burn pits will now get what they deserve for their families and their compensation. And the future will be made in America. No matter what the white supremacists and the extremists say. I made a bet on you, the American people, and that bet is paying off, proving that from darkness.
So MAGA's evil, but made in America's good.
The darkness of Charlottesville, of COVID, of gun violence, of insurrection, we can see the light. Light is now visible. Light that will guide us forward.
And yet there's, like, no light here. You just have, like, this creepy red light that makes it look like it's a Brotherhood of Nod speech in Command and Conquer.
Not only in words, but in actions. Actions for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for America. Even in this moment, with all the challenges we face, I give you my word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future. Not because of me, but because of who you are. We're going to end cancer as we know it. Mark my words. We're going to create millions of new jobs in a clean energy economy.
Random, just throwing in, we're going to end cancer. It has nothing to do with anything else.
We're going to think big. We're going to make the 21st century another American century. Because the world needs us to. That's where we need to focus our energy. Not in the past. Not on divisive culture wars.
Not on the past. This whole speech is at Independence Hall. The speech is, he's invoking the past, but not the past.
Not on the politics of grievance, but on the future we can build.
That's
together.
your entire coalition.
MAGA Republicans believe that for them to succeed, everyone else has to fail.
Base.
They believe America, not like I believe about America. I believe America is big enough for all of us to succeed.
No, you don't.
And that is the nation we're building, a nation where no one is left behind. I ran for president
Except
because
for
I
poor
believe
white
we're in a
people.
battle for the soul of this nation.
No, you don't.
I still believe that to be true. I believe the soul is the breath, the life, and the essence of who we are. The soul is what makes us, us. The soul of America defined by the sacred proposition that all are created equal
No.
in the image of God.
No.
That all are entitled to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect.
So
that
cringy.
all deserve justice and a shot at lives of prosperity and consequence. And that democracy must be defended, for democracy makes all these things possible. Folks,
Democracy created humanity. Democracy, I guess God runs on a democracy. Maybe the Trinity runs on a democracy. Maybe that's what he thinks.
and it's up to us. Democracy begins and will be preserved in we, the people's habits of the heart, in our character, optimism that is tested yet endures, courage that digs deep when we need it, empathy that fuels democracy, the willingness to see each other not as enemies but as fellow Americans. Look, our democracy isn't perfect. It always has been. Notwithstanding those folks you hear on the other side there, they're entitled to be outrageous. This is a democracy.
You just said they weren't,
But history and common sense.
Low energy cheering.
Good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. But history and common sense tell us that opportunity, liberty, and justice for all are most likely to come to pass in a democracy.
No.
We have never fully realized the aspirations of our founding.
No, I maintain the most democratic societies in history were totalitarian dictatorships.
But every generation has opened those doors a little bit wider, to include more people who have been excluded before. My fellow Americans, America is an idea.
I'm giving this speech about how we have to exclude the 63 million people who voted for Trump. We gotta exclude them in order to include more people.
The most powerful idea in the history of the world. And it beats in the hearts of the people of this country. It beats in all our hearts. It unites America. It is the American creed. The idea that America guarantees that everyone be treated with dignity. It gives hate no safe harbor. It installs in everyone the belief that no matter where you start in life, there's nothing you can't achieve.
With government
That's
aid.
who we are. That's what we stand for. That's what we believe. That's precisely what we're doing. Opening doors, creating possibilities, focusing on the future. And we're only just beginning.
Sorry, it's just the quality is too shitty.
Our task is to make our nation free and fair, just and strong, noble and whole. And this work is the work of democracy. The work of this generation is the work of our time, for all time. We can't afford to leave anyone on the sidelines. We need everyone to do their part. So speak up, speak out, get engaged, vote, vote, vote. And if we do our duty in 2022 and beyond, then ages still to come will say, we, all of us here, we kept the faith. We preserved democracy. Thinks but our better angels, beacon to the world, an ideal to be realized.
Okay, I can't take this anymore. Let's listen to Kane.
Rise, my people. I have returned, never to leave your side again. GDI sought to destroy me, but they have only made me stronger. Today, we march forward into our future, a stronger people, a divine people, enhanced for the Tiberium world. The time has come to claim this world as our own. The time has come to destroy GDI. One vision, one purpose. Peace through power. Peace through power.
honestly a